Hi, my name is Daniel. In this video, I'll be seeking to do a reflection on my micro-teaching in one of the courses I am currently undertaking as part of my master's program from the University of Tallinn in Estonia. While doing this reflection on my micro-teaching, I'll be seeking to also juxtapose this particular reflection with one of my assignments that I submitted earlier on my teaching philosophy. What was this assignment about? In that assignment on my teaching philosophy, there were certain principles, if you like, or certain philosophies of mine in education, or certain philosophies as an adult educator, which I espoused in that particular assignment. The centrality of that particular work I did on my teaching philosophy is basically on learner-centered approaches to education or to teaching. What I sought to portray in that particular concept or philosophy was that for any adult educator, and for me in particular, to be able to become an effective adult educator, one needs to recognize the input of learners. One needs to recognize that learners can be very valuable. They can form very valuable resources to you, the adult educator, to ensure that your teaching and learning actually goes on smoothly. So that was the centrality of my message, really. In more specific terms, I stated in that particular essay, my philosophy, my teaching philosophy, that as an adult educator, I'm someone who is positive and who is excited anytime I have the opportunity to meet with my learners. As an adult educator, I'm someone who is concerned about ensuring that I include all my learners in any learning situation. I also ensure that I mentor my learners. These were some of the tenets, if you like, or some of the matters or the issues that came out during that particular write-up, which I presented also to one of our lecturers from the University of Tallinn, Professor Larissa. So that was the philosophy. As I said, that was the centrality of my philosophy as a teacher in that particular assignment which I submitted. So I will seek to juxtapose this particular, this particular philosophy of mine with a reflection, my reflection on my micro-teaching, which was also done quite recently here in the University of Tallinn in Estonia. So now back to the reflection of my micro-teaching here in Tallinn. What did I find so intriguing? Actually, there are a number of questions that will help me to be able to do this reflection on my micro-teaching. One of them is, what did I hear, or what did I notice or what did I experience during that particular process while I did my micro-teaching? What did I experience as a learner? What did I experience also as an adult educator? And overall, what was the impact of the micro-teaching on myself as an adult educator, or as an adult, and also as an adult learner? First and foremost, I will say that going back to my philosophy as an educator, which I said I talked about the fact that I'm more concerned about using learners as a good resource to facilitate the teaching and learning process. I would like to say that I did that to some extent. I found that to be very interesting, very useful during my teaching practice, micro-teaching, because my activities were actually targeted at using my participants, my colleagues, as very useful resources, and And to be frank and to be sincere, I never got disappointed, because I was so hugely impressed with the amount of resources that these adults produced, because all I essentially did was to provide them with the questions, or with the guidelines, and with the instructions, with what exactly I wanted to achieve at the end of the day. And to be frank and sincere, I was so pleasantly surprised with the amount of responses that I got from my colleagues, which I think is more or less connected to my own philosophy as a teacher, that you don't underrate learners, you don't underrate the experiences that they brought. I mean, the experiences that they bring into the learning environment. You need to acknowledge these experiences and to seek to tap into their various responses, and to make the learning a very sound endeavor. And so, what else did I also notice? I also noticed that, as I said, one philosophy of mine is also to ensure that I mentor my learners. I serve as a mentor, and in that particular micro-teaching period, I had like 15 minutes. Everybody actually had 15 minutes to deliver. So I think it was hugely not so possible for me to literally demonstrate how I could be a mentor to my learners. But I did that in a little way, because as a learner, you need to make your instructions clear. You need to set the pace more or less. If there are skills or there are processes in the learning situation that you wish your learners to follow, you as the adult educator need first and foremost to show a good example. You need to go ahead and demonstrate that first, so that if you are able to demonstrate the skills and the processes, your learners can follow suit. I did that when, in my introduction of my topic to my participants, I sought to demonstrate that we came from very diverse communities and from very diverse backgrounds. And so I wanted to get from their own mouths how, I mean, the various diversities of the various countries from which they came. And I just didn't go ahead to tell them, can you tell me where you come from? From the video, I noticed, from my micro-teaching video, I noticed that I took the lead, really. I demonstrate. I just had to go ahead to do the introduction first. I said, okay, hi, I'm Daniel, I'm from Ghana. Can you tell me where you come from? And each of my participants follow suit. So I think as an adult educator, these are some of the things you need to take into account, that you don't just give instructions to your learners and then ask them to undertake various activities without you demonstrating that. So I felt I more or less did something which was worth noting, because I started with the introduction and then all my participants followed suit. I also noticed that in my teaching philosophy, I had stated categorically that I am someone who always ensures that I bring my learners on board. I ensure that all my learners are included. None of my learners feels, excluded from the learning process. And so, reflecting back, I felt, I'm not sure what I did that consciously. Sincerely, it came as a very unconscious way, because in the choice of my topic for my micro-teaching, the topic I chose was diversity and inclusion in an adult learning environment. And so, reflecting now, I think this more or less goes to buttress my point as an adult educator seeking to ensure that everybody actually feels included. Because when I had done this, like last semester whilst we were in the University of Glasgow, somewhere in January 2017, yes, that was when the assignment was submitted, obviously. But and moving forward to November 2017, I still chose a topic that sought to bring about inclusion in an adult learning environment. So reflecting back, I feel the choice of even the topic itself goes to to support the idea or the point that I would want to always ensure that none of my learners in any learning situation feels, excluded from the learning environment. So I feel this is something worth noting as well. I also noticed that in that teaching philosophy essay which I submitted, I had remarked or had stated that I am someone who is very positive and who is always excited when it comes to delivering my content to my learners. So I noticed that during the teaching practice or the micro-teaching, which was undertaken quite recently, I noticed getting responses from my participants. They told me boldly that I came into that learning environment with some amount of with so much enthusiasm, with so much excitement, and also positive minded. And I feel this positivity and this excitement on the part of any adult educator could go a long way to enhance how the learners in any learning environment or situation would get engaged in the learning process, because that positivity or excitement on the part of you, the adult educator, could translate into your learners, to make them motivated, to make them feel a part of the learning process, and to as well give up their best during that learning process. All in all, what did I learn from all these processes, particularly from the micro-teaching process? I feel micro-teaching is actually a very valuable instrument for any adult to get to know beforehand some of the issues that are relevant during the real practice, because it serves as an example for some of us. For me in particular, I was faced with some of the real methods that are actually needed for an adult educator to function in the real world during that micro-teaching process, which I feel is something valuable. As an adult educator, for me, this process has enhanced my understanding of an adult being in a real situation of delivering content to other colleague adults in any learning environment. Also reflecting on the micro-teaching session, what I realized was that I would have loved to make a very good use of the slides or the board, because as part of my methods, I encourage my participants, I put them into pairs to discuss whatever it was I wanted them to take home at the end of the day. And I had stated during my outline that as my participants respond, I would write and coordinate their responses and summarize everything on a board. But I noticed from the video that I wasn't able to fully, I wasn't able to undertake that particular activity, probably because of lack of time. But I think I probably didn't manage my time well, and it's something I would like to work on in future, so that once you have adults who get engaged in an activity and you, the educator, listen to them, it's nice that at the end of the day you capture their responses in a very unique way, probably summarize their responses. You can have it done on a notice board or whatever, and that way they can easily relate and they can easily remember whatever it was that was learned during that particular session. So I feel that wasn't well carried out, because at the end of the day I made them to sit in pairs. They had their discussions and they came out with their findings, and I actually didn't get a chance to write their findings and to summarize the finding on the board, which would have made a lot of sense, a lot more sense to my participants. So it's something I would like to work on going forward in future. So all in all, I would say it's been a very great learning experience for me as an adult educator. And not to sound so repetitive, I think it's something that I would like to practice in future if ever I get a chance to become an adult educator who will have the opportunity to organize programs for other adult educators. I would like to encourage this micro-teaching because, as I said, it brings reality to you, the adult educator, because you get to learn the methods, the right methods that are needed that will eventually be used in the real adult learning environment. Thank you.